guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hi, welcome. If you're new here, I love having you. Today is going to be a little bit different. I know that there's shows coming up this weekend with AEW and WWE and all that kind of stuff, and I could be sitting here making a prediction video or talking about the events themselves, or talking about some of my experiences with going to different wrestling events and all that kind of stuff, but that's not what I'm doing today. This video is a little bit more of a journey of self-discovery, because 2025 has been quite the journey for me. I found myself sort of questioning myself in my wrestling fandom, and I thought that it'd be a good video to sort of give my experience on what this year has kind of been like for me, what I've kind of discovered about myself and what I've discovered about the wrestling business as a whole this year. And if this touches anybody, or if this resonates with anybody, that's all I can hope for. At the end of the day, everybody's wrestling journey is different. How they come into the wrestling business, how they get into watching wrestling in the first place, everybody's journey with that is different. And I think it is extremely important that we recognize that everybody's journey is different, and also feel comfortable enough to talk about our journeys and our experiences within professional wrestling and how we have evolved over time as fans. That is what I'm going to be doing today. So if you like this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, debate, talk shit with me in the comments. Share your own experiences with wrestling over, whether it be this year, the past few years, in your lifetime, whatever that may be. Share your experiences down below, because I would love to hear them. I think that's what this is all about at the end of the day. So let's get right into it. So this journey for me actually starts in the beginning of the year, January 2025. Now, I guess I have to kind of paint the picture here a little bit, right? So the beginning of the year, I was consuming both WWE and AEW. I was watching both, but my priorities were more so in WWE. I was investing money for merch, tickets, fan experiences, the like, right? I was fully behind WWE financially at that point, and not really behind AEW as far as a financial standpoint, and dedicating most of my time, resources, things like that, even my content at that point. But at the beginning of the year, and I guess I can say when WWE decided to move to Netflix, I started feeling disconnected from the WWE product. I started to realize that some of the booking decisions, some of the storyline decisions weren't really making sense to me. It was hard for me to keep up with. It was hard for me to relate to. And so at that point, I continued to watch WWE. I continued to invest my time and everything into WWE and give WWE the benefit of the doubt at that point. But I can't lie and say that that disconnect wasn't lingering in the back of my mind. And I say this as someone that, went to the Royal Rumble, that spent the weekend in Indy doing all of the WWE things and going to the Royal Rumble and all that kind of stuff. Like, I was there. I was in it. I was financially in it, right? But I think where that changed was April. April was WrestleMania season. And during that time, I felt myself disconnecting from the product a little bit more. But I still continued to watch it because it was, I grew up with WWE. I grew up watching the WWE product, and it was the one wrestling promotion that I had dedicated all of my resources to, if that makes sense. But WrestleMania weekend was probably my biggest wake-up call, if I had to be honest. Now, WrestleMania weekend in of itself was an incredible time, right? All of my friends got together. We all went and did a bunch of stuff together. that aspect was really enjoyable for me. I had a really great time being with my people, being able to, connect with my people and spend time with them, because I don't get to do that often. But being at WrestleMania itself and sitting in that crowd and watching it unfold, right? That's when I started to realize in real time that the disconnect was deeper than I thought. And unfortunately, it cost me $1,100 to realize that, which sucks. That disconnect was happening in real time. And I don't want to say that I didn't enjoy myself at all at the event itself at WrestleMania, because WrestleMania was a fun time. The vibes were up. Everybody around me was having a good time. I was excited to be a part of the excitement. But objectively watching the product that was being put out WrestleMania weekend made me realize that this is not something that I relate to anymore. This is not something that resonates with me. This is not something that I believe in. So, and I'll even take it kind of a step further. So, WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania, all of my friends wanted to go to Raw after WrestleMania. And, they'd asked me if I wanted to go. And at that point, that whole weekend, I hadn't really slept that much, doing a whole lot of things that weekend, and I was just exhausted. So I skipped. I, told them to go ahead and go. Right. They all went. They all had a great time, from what I can tell. But I chose rest over going to a WWE event. And looking back on it now, I think that was my subconscious telling me that it was time to disconnect. So that night, Raw after Mania, I didn't watch Raw. And I haven't watched a Raw or a SmackDown in full since then. And it's now middle of September. I have not watched the WWE product in full at all. So naturally, I guess at that point, I started shifting my focus more into AEW. I would say all of my resources that I was putting into WWE previously, such as, money for merchandise, tickets, which a lot lighter on my pocket, by the way. Experiences with AEW, that in of itself grew into more. I ended up connecting with people in the AEW community on social media and stuff like that I would have never connected with in the first place had I not started venturing out. Some of the nicest, kindest people that I have ever met have sort of thrived within that AEW community that was sitting over here with the WWE community over here. And had I not made that jump, I would have never met these people over here. And I'm so, so grateful that I did. And somewhere along the way of all of this, I started realizing that AEW made me believe again. And I'm not trying to be cheesy or corny in the sense of oh, wrestling is real type of belief. No. After watching AEW and watching what they were putting out week to week to week to week, I realized that they're motivated. They're hungry. They're determined. They believe in what they're putting out every single week. They wholeheartedly believe in the output they're putting out in the ring. They believe in the stories that they're telling. And through that, I started believing too. And once I kind of got into that mindset, it was like the floodgates opened, almost. I got back into New Japan Pro Wrestling again, which is a company that I had not been fully invested in since Will Ospreay was there. I went down the rabbit hole, found Rev Pro, DDT, Stardom, Pro Wrestling Eve, and I'm actually going to stop for a second and talk about Pro Wrestling Eve. This is kind of a tangent, but it's my video. I don't give a shit. But Pro Wrestling Eve has quickly become my second favorite promotion out there, right? AEW is number one, Pro Wrestling Eve is number two for me, which I didn't think would ever become reality. For those of you who don't really know what Pro Wrestling Eve is, they are a women-only independent wrestling company in the UK. And they're fucking incredible. I mean, the way that they showcase their women, the way that they, put on their matches and, tell their stories through their in-ring. Like, I could not be more pleased with what Pro Wrestling Eve is doing and what they are going to continue to do. Like, they are also a company like AEW where they have made me believe in them. And that's not something that has happened to me for a wrestling company in a very long time. But the cool thing about Pro Wrestling Eve and what they do over there is that it made me sort of realize that wrestling doesn't have to follow a formula. It doesn't have to be some sort of like polished thing to fit this like mold of some sort that has been established for 20, 30 plus years. Pro Wrestling Eve is weird sometimes. It's all over the place. It's chaos, but that's the fun of it. That's the fun of pro wrestling. And in discovering that, that's when it hit me that this system that we've been so trained on focusing on and, being stuck on this model is what professional wrestling is. Like, this thing is what defines pro wrestling, and that everything outside of it does not exist. That's what made me realize that that's just not true. The system that WWE has put in place for so many years is just a sliver of the pie. And once you step outside of that system, and once you take your lens off of that system specifically, you'll realize that there's just so much more out there to professional wrestling. Because wrestling is massive. There's different styles, different promotions, different ways of displaying what wrestling is. And there's just so much more to it than this one system over here. And that almost like diversity of it all is what wrestling is. It's not one specific definition by one company that's ruled over everything for the past 30 years. It's entire like ecosystem of different like voices and promotions and styles and ways of doing things. Wrestling's all over the place. Wrestling isn't just one thing. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I learned through all of this. And once I realized that, you can't unsee it. Your entire perspective on everything just like changes. And kind of leading into this a little bit, but as like all of these things were happening, towards the beginning of the year, I had started my degree. I wanted to get a degree in sports marketing and digital media, and marketing in of itself was something I wanted to have a career towards because it was something that was almost second nature to me. I had a lot of marketing experience, especially with, promoting my own music and being mentored underneath my dad, who owns his own businesses, and growing up taking classes in entrepreneurship and best business practices and all those things like that. So marketing and media and learning how to run a business was something that was already ingrained in me and something that I knew I could do. But the biggest part of me was trying to figure out how I could incorporate my hobby and passion for sports, more specifically wrestling, into that. Between going through all my classes and pursuing my degree program, and then all of these things happening within my exploration of wrestling, if you will, it made me find that thing that clicks. It made me find that passion and, that thing that I wanted to find, and the thing that I only thought I could find after I finished my degree and started gaining experience in the workforce. That passion and that drive and that motivation was something that I didn't think that I was going to find yet. But I found it. Like, it feels like now I have everything kind of in place. Like, I feel like I figured out my why. You know what I mean? But yeah, starting in the beginning of this year, WWE was something that I clung to. It was what I'd always known. The beginning of this year really opened my eyes to a lot of different things going on in the wrestling community and in the wrestling world and how wrestling operates as a whole. And I feel like that being able to not necessarily just find what made me believe again through AEW, but even past that and going deeper into companies like New Japan and Stardom and DDT and Rev Pro and Eve, those companies in of themselves ended up like opening my eyes to what's out there. If there's one thing that I want somebody to take away from this video, it's that wrestling isn't just one thing. It's not one little section of the ecosystem. It's not this one isolated thing. Don't box yourself into just one system or one idea or one definition of something. Explore. Expand your horizons. You might just find that thing that changes your whole viewpoint and how you see things, how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see the niche that you are trying to get into, whatever that may be. Expanding your horizons opens yourself up to so many things that you would have never realized had you not done it. Yeah, that's my story. I kind of went on a tangent for a little bit there, but that's okay. But with that being said, I'm going to get off here so I can edit this and hopefully have it up by the end of the week. But if you like this, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.